Welcome back to the Supercoach Hub AFL podcast. My God, I never thought we'd actually get this far. The amount of technical difficulties we have had is disgusting. But 2 good points, very positive. Verns is back. His internet's fantastic. And we've also got special guest, Clayton Oliver. As you can see, laptop not charged, just on the phone, fresh out of a pokey sesh. We've got him here. Verns, let's get straight into it, mate. Tell me how your week was.
Yeah, not too bad. Put out a 1955, went up 3,000 positions, sitting around 22K.
Oh, very nice, mate. Very nice. Joshy, how'd you end up?
Yeah, not too bad. I scored a 1999 and now I'm, I think 5.2K, so it's slowly rising each week, which is good.
Very nice, very nice. I scored a 1995 and moved into 2.3K, but obviously all good things are going to have to end, and I can just foresee a massive drop coming up soon. Verns, market summary, you're the man. Someone didn't charge their laptop, too busy on the pokies having a slap, so you're in, mate. Go for it.
Yep. Sorry, getting it up now. 1 second.
And perfect. That's what the viewers want. My goodness.
As long as I'm here, that's all that matters.
Yeah, well, to be fair, you do have the most fans. Everyone loves you, mate. They ask about you constantly, especially the Sir 420. He absolutely adores you.
I appreciate that. Oh, man. Okay, it's actually gotten loaded up for us. We'll start off with most traded in. So most traded in, number 5 is Luke Jackson. 8.8% of the top 5%. I think that's just people trying to get, I guess, ruck cover while finishing their team. Get your 20-second premium, have a bit of cover in the ruck line. Seems good.
Joshy, your thoughts?
I missed who the player was.
Luke Jackson.
Luke Jackson. I mean, he scored really well, but there's still that Sean Darcy factor. And he hasn't even had that many tons this year with Darcy in the side. Even when they smashed Melbourne a couple of weeks ago by 90 points, he couldn't even ton there, and it was still a 98. But still, those scores with Darcy, I don't think I could get him in unless Darcy gets injured.
Do you own him already, Joshy?
No, I don't have him. But I don't think I'd be looking to get him in. I think I'd rather Rankin or Dylan Moore or those type of guys.
Yeah, I currently own Jackson, and my goodness, has that been a frustrating ride. Like this, sometimes he'll be on, 35 in the first quarter because he's kicked a snag and then literally does fuck all for the rest of the game. I would not be, I mean, if you can easily just one up, one down, absolutely. But if you're using 3 trades to get him in, I would not be doing that at all. Who's next, Verns?
Yeah, before we jump to who's next, I do agree. 510K basically, it's a lot to pay. You've got people like Kerno, Mackay down at the low 400s, much, in my opinion, better options. I think it's purely just for the ruck cover. At the end of the day, even if they're going to score 10 points less, if there's 1 week that he can cover your ruck line and save you 80 points, that could be massive. So I think that would be the appeal. But number 4. Yep, it's Zach Merrett, traded in by 9.5% of the top 5%. He has West Coast this week, and that's probably the appeal, as well as him being pretty good all year long. He didn't really go massive on West Coast last time. He had to rely on a few goals, I'm pretty sure late goals, in fact, to kind of scrape to that one. I think he got to a 120 at the end of the day, but when you kick, I think 3, it might have been 2-3 goals, you'd expect Zach Merrett to have a much bigger game than that.
Is Dom Sheed playing?
No, he's not. He's confirmed
He's
out.
not.
Yeah.
Nah. Then I think it's him and Bont right now that are actually the midfielders that are in decent form. I literally have nothing against bringing Merrett in, and he's literally at a very nice price. So absolutely nothing against it. Joshy, you already own him, but I assume you'd be bringing him in if you didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And his price is pretty good, I'm pretty sure. I think he's 570 something. Might be a little bit higher. But yeah, that's a amazing price for Merrett, who's been one of the better midfields this year and super consistent. I don't think he's gone under 90 And yeah, majority of his scores have been over 100. And West Coast this week, he could actually be a very good captain or VC option as well. So yeah, I'd be all over that pick.
Yeah, I guess before I go on to the next one, you're definitely right there. And we've sort of been waiting all year for Merritt to drop. And it's taken a lot longer than normally, but he's finally come down to a more affordable price. He also has Geelong the following week, which is obviously very enticing. And then the Pies after that. And we're not the most restricted mid. So he's got a pretty good run in the next three. So yeah, probably a very good pick.
He always slaughters us as well. So like he can just lock that in.
Yep. Our next pick will be number 3, Dan Houston. 9.6% of the top 5% have traded them in. Obviously went massive this week. I guess the only thing there is, he is a bit of a yo-yo. He was 2 sub-tons in a row before this 170. So I feel like you might have missed the boat a little bit there, but at the same time, who else are you really grabbing? He's going to be a top 6 defender. I'm going to be pretty happy with him if I was bringing him in.
Yeah, well, Joshy was red hot on him all preseason. I think he started him. I started him in that first half. I think he was on 103 at halftime or something, and he was just everywhere. Like the amount of times that he just took that dinky little mark and then chipped it straight to Kane Farrell, moved like 2.5 meters. Farrell kicked it back to him, vice versa, literally numerous times, which was amazing for Supercoach. So more than happy to have him at the moment, and I think he's definitely a lock for top 6. So if you don't own Houston, I think 50% of the comp own him or something like that in the top however many percent. So you've got to get on. Like you just have to, or he's going to kill you. Absolutely kill you. Joshy, would you be bringing him in? I know you already own him.
Yeah, 100% I would. And he's another one that's pretty low price for what he's been dishing out the last couple of weeks. And yeah, another one that I started him because of the strong run he had in terms of games at Adelaide Oval. I think that dries up a little bit compared to early season, but he's definitely a top 6 defender, I think. So if you need someone to fill that last spot or second last spot, 100% Dan Houston's a good pick.
Wonderful. Verns, your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, look, I was a bit salty at Dan Houston the last 2 weeks. I'm sure you remember last week I was kind of really annoyed at him. Owned him for 2 weeks, 2 very average scores. And then, he came back and he was just like, you know what, stuff you, Vern. I'm going to make you love me. And I feel really happy to own him now. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like he's just that short chip kick game is just immense for Supercoach. And we've lost Joshy. That's the professionalism you can expect from around here. That's absolutely amazing. Maybe Clary's going back to the pokies there. Verns, keep going.
Yeah, look, I feel pretty good about it not being me for once, but
yeah, I was going to say that's a rare occurrence. Yeah.
Awesome. Next one is Dane Zorko. 10% of the top 5% have traded them in. Look, he's owned by now 89.6% of the top 5%. He's not the antipod you want to have. He is far and away one of the best forwards in the game. He was a very clear VC option this week. Very rewarding for anyone that got him in last week or even a few weeks back. But yeah, he's an awesome pickup and not someone I'd want to antipod.
Yeah, no, I completely agree on Zorko. Joshy, seeing as you're, incompetent and just had to leave, mate, we're just talking about Zorko. The only thing I've got against Zorko is, and I haven't looked into it that much, but away from the Gabba, doesn't seem to score that well. Just thinking, if you would, as you were alluding to, Vern's anti-potting, think you do need him in to complete your forward line because he's clear top 3 just with the role he's got. But if there's other pressing issues and you need a defender, then I can understand not grabbing Zorko and just waiting a little bit. Joshy, your thoughts, mate, before you disconnect?
No, I didn't disconnect. I just switched over to the laptop so my face isn't fucking inverted anymore. I don't look like any uglier than I already am. So I just had to quickly go back to the laptop because it was doing my head in. But it's good now. Now I've got my phone to look at shit if I need to. But on Zorko, like 98 break even, so you could probably wait a week if you wanted to, especially against Port. He could cop McEntee, but I don't know. McEntee didn't really do that well on Whitfield because I think he does well in the intercepting defenders, not so much the distributed defenders like a Whitfield or in this case Zorko. But Tom Stewart, Luke Ryan, those type of guys, I think that's who McKenty plays well against. But yeah, if you need a defender in midfield, there is guys around like your Houstons. Like I'm going Sarong sub 600k, but yeah, I think you can wait on Zorko if you can afford it this week.
Yeah,
Vince?
I mean, look, taking into account that he was probably dropping close to a 200 if Jack Steele didn't go back and tag him in the fourth. I guess that's the only thing you got to look at. If he's not getting tagged, he is scoring 30 points more than any other, forward that you're going to bring in to replace him. Like, it's going to be a very painful antipod, but I'm not against, taking that sort of risk. I mean, if he goes down or he has popped out a few 60s recently, if he has a bit of a poor stretch, you definitely could get a huge leg up on 90% of the top 5%.
I know we say this literally about every single player, but once they get an early free against, it is so hard to come back from. And Zorko I reckon he epitomizes every single player that gets a dodgy call against him in like the first minute, and then he goes on a tear of just free kicks against. And then it's the first quarter and he's had, 9 touches, used the ball pretty well, had a couple of tackles, marks, and he's on 15 just because he's had 3 frees against. And I'm fairly sure that happened the game at Marvel where he was tagged and it just all went to shit and he was lucky. I think it was at the G against the Hawks where they lost. And you just know, like, you never want any of your premiums just to get those early frees against because it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. But yeah, with Zorko, I reckon you can wait. Absolutely. Ferns, who's next, mate?
Yeah, just quickly on that. He's got to be the worst player in the game for throwing a temper tantrum. Like, he just cracks the wobblies and does the dumbest shit for like 10 minutes straight. And you're like, bruh, come on. Like, put the fucking rattle away. You're fine, mate.
Well, there's some free kicks that you just think, oh shit, like fuck me, is that Zorko? And you just know it is. And then literally 30 seconds again, it's the same thing, exact same thing. But he's got that seagull roll, and it's just so good for Supercoach, as we know.
Awesome. Well, we'll jump into number 1 most traded in. And look, something I guess that's a bit of a theme here is we're seeing a lot of premiums so far because the rookies, they're just isn't really any. So number 1 is the only rookie that played this coming week. He's on the bubble. It's Carl Warner. 17.8% of the top 5% have traded him in. Not a bad trade in, especially with nothing else going on. It's just you got to make sure you don't position lock yourself. I know for me personally, I'm in a position where both my rookies are defender only and they're not ready to be traded. So if I trade a midfielder and then was to rotate down like a Nick Martin and bring in Carl Warner, I would then position lock myself by having 3 defensive rookies back there that aren't ready to be traded. And I'd have to force trade one of them out to be able to get Nick Martin back into the defense on field. So you've got to be careful you don't position lock yourself with these rookies that are like defense only, forward only, mid only sort of roles.
That is why you're the best in the business, Ferns. Absolutely. That is the type of advice that is like it might sound so simple and logical, but the amount of times that you think, yep, these 3 trades are perfect, these 2 trades, whatever, DPP comes into action, and then you look at it and you're like, I've got the player I want, I've got the rookie I want, but the setup is just disgusting. And as you said, like you need to make another trade in order for it to work. The only issue with Warner is Chapman back this week.
I don't know.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good chance. Apparently his hamstring was like a bit of a precautionary.
Surely Warner doesn't get a gig.
Yeah, because he was laid in for him. But he played well though. That's the annoying thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and
look, he kind of took points off Luke Ryan as well.
That's what I was about to say. He went and stole kick-ins, and every time I saw it, I was like, mate, you're the wrong Blondie. Get out of the square. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, you could have been in the square taking kick-outs. You're a bit of a Luke Ryan lookalike, mate. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Any more thoughts on Warner at all?
Yeah, no, I think that just really screams to the level of rookies that we're lacking, unfortunately, right now. And look,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think as I mentioned, it's a position lock. You're a lot more susceptible right now because we're in the bye. So you're putting premiums on the bench, and you may not realize that you've thrown three rookies in defense, and that you're going to be locked next week. So definitely make sure you're checking that out before you're bringing in Carl Warner.
Absolutely agree, mate. Very good summary.
Awesome. So we'll jump into number 5, most traded out in the top 5%. It is going to be at 5.5%, Harvey Harris. Look, players have got to go. We've got to make upgrades. Pies are on the buy. He's 270K. If going down to Carl Warner, you're making 140K. If you're going down to one of these basement tier rookies, Hutchinson's, I think it is from West Coast, you're making 170K there, and that facilitates your final upgrade. So, yep, makes plenty of sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I still reckon he'll hold his spot after the bye. He's been very good, and especially that last quarter, pushing up into the defensive 50, that was amazing. But no, he's in Supercoach terms, he's done everything he's needed to do. Like that's just, yep, absolutely. Get rid of him. There's no reason to hold him at all. I mean, Ferns, you just summarised it perfectly. Joshy, do you have any more to add on that, mate? On Harvey Harrison?
No, nothing at all. I guess like his break even's still 43, but even on the weekend, he showed that can be a bit of a struggle for him at times. I was looking forward to like an 80 or 90 against North Melbourne before that game, but yeah, all my hopes and dreams were crushed by Kruger and even Sullivan and Harris in that game. But yeah, I'm trading him out this week, and I think it makes sense. It's time to downgrade as quickly as possible to get those premiums in before after the buys.
Yep, spot on.
Awesome. So we'll jump down to the 4th most traded out player, and I'm surprised he's still sticking around in a few teams, but it's 6.5%, Tom Powell. Look, he's not a keeper. So if he's sitting in your team right now, you should probably be flipping him or upgrading him or just doing something with him.
I mean, Tom Powell lost CBAs to Will Phillips, and Will Phillips can't run out a full game. Like, do you need any more reason to keep him? I know there's a certain listener, and I don't know if they're going to be listening on the audio or they're in the live stream, but Robbo, you know who you are. We had a good conversation about Tom Powell, and you used some very colourful language to describe him. So I expect him to be in your trade plans because he is absolutely shithouse. Yeah, he's got to go. Got to go. Joshy, your thoughts on Tommy Powell?
Yeah, I got rid of him weeks ago, and my mental health has been better ever since I got him out. Especially because even when he had those CBAs early in the season, he still wasn't scoring that great. And then he lost them, and it dropped off significantly. And I didn't even see his score on the weekend until I was looking it up then, 37. Jesus Christ. If you've held him for this long, then absolutely just get rid of him now. While you can, because he's
37.
Yeah, I just checked then, 37 and a break even 119. So the trade out makes complete sense. He's a distant memory to me.
That's disgusting. He'll need 5 games to hit his break even.
Yeah. Look, personally, as a Pink owner, I mean, Pink put 10 points on him, and Pink's coming back. I think I prefer him over Powell.
Toby Coleman, mate, he's killing it.
Oh yeah. Look, there was actually a few moments at the end of that game that he went for massive hangers and got hands to the ball, but didn't stick the mark. And I'm sitting there not wanting, obviously, to lose this game, but at the same time thinking, if we lose it off Pink's boot, I'll accept it. It's how it is.
Toby Pink.
Imagine that dagger in our heart scopes. Lose the game off Toby Pink's specky at the end. Woohoo!
Well, what was even worse was when Fisher had that snap, obviously clearly missed, and then lost points for it.
Did he actually lose points?
I nearly got off the couch when he kicked it. It was in the air. I got up and then he missed it. I was like, "Fuck's sake!"
I mean,
it would have been plus 30, honestly.
North were absolutely robbed. That is a 50-meter, 100% of the day. Absolutely robbed. That is literally highway robbery in broad fucking daylight.
But then again, you're giving up a 54-point lead. You can't be giving up 54-point leads.
No, you can't. You can't. And I don't know how LDU had a 60-point last quarter. Don't get me wrong, he was good.
Ridiculous.
Oh, fuck off, Ferns. Fuck
But
off.
I mean, look, 2 weeks
Ridiculous.
ago when we were talking about Neil, I made the decision to not bring in Neil, and I brought in LDU. And I agree. I was watching him very closely, and I didn't see that man do anything. And I checked out Supercoach afterwards, and I don't know how this man went from 90 to 147, but I was very, very happy to see it.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Who's next, mate?
So the next one, I don't know how you guys feel about this. I don't agree with it. I know a lot of people have been talking about making this trade, but 10.9% of the top 5% have traded out Jack Steele. And
Fuck,
me
I'm so
personally,
tempted too.
look, I get it. He hasn't been great, but there's been a lot of mids that have been faltering right now. Like, there's a lot that are very questionable. There's a lot that are underperforming. I mean, Tom Green, just for example purposes, like much worse of a hazard right now. Steele also has this really good Marvel run, and he's historically always been better at Marvel. And I mean, before the season started, when you looked at Steele, you're like, okay, pick him up halfway through the season or after his bye and get him for this Marvel run. That's what we all thought coming into the season. And I know that you've got to take form into account, but we've hit this point that we want Steele for, and we're jumping off the Steele pick. I feel like keep Steele. He shouldn't be like, I feel like there should be bigger problems in your team. Like, I mean, if you have Tom Powell, if you have Jack McRae, there's bigger problems than Jack Steele. And I think he's going to be a fine hold for the rest of the season.
That last quarter when they were doing so well and the comeback was on for a period of time, Jack Steele playing high half forward, getting no CBAs, like they look so much better without. But they look so much better without him in there.
But Liam Henry is a gun. Like, that guy is incredible. Like, he's so good to watch. And then he almost injured himself at the end. I don't know if he actually did.
Yeah, Steele isn't my biggest worry at the moment. But if he is, and you've got obviously trades to burn, just flip. Don't think twice about it. There's better premium midfielders out there. Like, it's just literally sort by average. Take your pick.
Okay, would you be happy, just considering Steele's price? So considering his price, it's going to be a bit hard to go, I guess, up to a Bont. Going to be a bit hard to maybe go up to, I think, Sarong's about 600K. If you're looking at someone roughly the same price, would you be happy going to like a Rao, an Anderson, a Walsh? Would you prefer those guys over Steele, or is that a waste of a trade?
I do Rao.
I almost own Walsh. I own Walsh. I'd probably go to Walsh, but like DPP, if you can work something out. Like I would even, and you're gonna love this, Verns, but I'd even, if I've got trades, I'd just go Steele to like McGovern or something, because you might not. Yeah, exactly. Like, that sounds ridiculous, but Steele has looked shit. One of the first quarters the other week, he had donuts, like literally nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there. Like, is he injured? Because the strapping came off his knee. He had a mattress attached to it, and then he was good for 2 weeks, and now he's just back to being an absolute fucking donkey.
Well, I'm looking at his numbers, and like the last 7 weeks, it hasn't actually been that bad. Like, he's had his last 7 weeks, 112, 122, 86, 101, 118, 98, and 83. Like, I know there's 3 sub-hundreds there, but the lowest score of them, 83. And then, as Vern said, in the last 9 weeks, he's got 8 at Marvel. And some of those games include like Adelaide, West Coast, Richmond, Geelong, who are like easy teams for inside mids to score against. And then even on the weekend, yes, he went to half forward, but that was to get away from Jared Berry, who was not Jared Berry, sorry. Jared Berry, who was tagging him, and then he went on to Zorko to go up forward. So there's reasons behind it, but I don't think his scoring has actually been as bad as we think. Yeah, it's just,
I don't know. I just think
we
want to be coming out of the buys, and like, no, absolutely not. And like, I guess it's extremely team dependent as well. Like, if Steele is your biggest issue and you can flip, like, you don't own a Tom Stewart who's not a premium, Clary who's not a premium, a Tom Green who's not a premium. If you can just, like, Steele is your biggest issue and you can flip with DPP, even, I don't know, you want to get adventurous and just bring Rankin in on the buy. or you go to a defender, you go to another midfielder. Like there is nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you can still be full premium without like these pretend premiums in there as well.
Yep.
And
Awesome.
also,
Well, look,
Ross Lyon has the most boring game plan ever. So, fuck watching the Saints. Gives you another reason not to watch them. Burns, we've spoken about Jack Steele and the Saints way too long, mate. Who is next?
Yep. So number 2 most traded out. The top 2, they're not going to be surprising. It's the same logic as Harvey Harris. It is Joel Frazier. He's on the buy, 271K. He's either the money to go down, or you're putting money on top of him to get your last premium. It just makes sense.
Well, he's not in my trade plans. I genuinely like him as a player and reckon he's decent cover. But again, nothing wrong with ditching him at all. Nothing wrong.
Yep. And I guess it does come down to the position you're in at the end of the day, because we're at a position where, like, I don't know who you have that has money on their head, but I know personally for me, once I trade out Sullivan and Frazier, like my next most expensive guy in my team, like as a rookie, is going to be Toby Pink at like 190K. Like if I'm not moving Frazier, I'm not getting an upgrade, unfortunately. So it really comes down to who else you have that you could potentially move on. And I think for a lot of people, they probably don't have many other options.
Yeah. Joshy, your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I'm the same as you, Scoobs. He's at the moment not in my trade plans purely because like his scoring's been pretty decent. He's got that mid forward swing as well, which is always helpful. Still got a relatively low break even. I think it's below 40. And also after this week I'm getting Sarong in, but I'll still have one upgrade to do, and that's down forward. And like Verns, once I trade out these Sullivans and Harrison and stuff this week, and McAuliffe, the only really guy I'll have left is Frazier, and I think like roughly 150K in the bank, which is really not much to get to a ranking or something. So I'm kind of going to need him, which sounds shit, but kind of going to need him at F6 for maybe a couple of weeks until I can actually afford that last upgrade. So yeah, it's looking grim that I'm going to still have a rookie after these buys on field, but I think Frazier is the best rookie that I can have on field if I absolutely desperately need one on there.
See, I know that sounds dire straits, but I'd much rather Frazier on field than Harrison, Sullivan in the mids at M8 or McAuliffe at M8. So I don't think that's terrible, so to speak.
No, definitely makes sense. I think Frazier or Breville, both of them are like pretty good to be holding if you need to hold a rookie. But as I mentioned, there's a lot of people who are forcing their final upgrade, and you need the money. You can't afford to hold them.
Mm-hmm.
So coming in the number 1, we kind of already did this discussion, but it's Lockie Sullivan, 25.8%. I've traded him out. Once again, just need the money, 276K. Makes a lot of sense. I know for me personally, I'm looking to get my final upgrade done to have 22 premiums. Saying that, I mean, for anyone that did realize earlier in the week, I went to upload a YouTube video and then had to take it down as I didn't upload any sound on it. Whoops. But in that video, I didn't even realize this at the time, but I was like talking about my trade plans, planned on bringing in Charlie Curnow. That was my plans to finish my team. And then I sit there and realize that bringing in Curnow puts me to 7 forward premiums, and I realize I only have 7 premium midfielders, and I actually need to trade in a mid, which really caught me off guard. And I had to sort of work out who I can really get at that sort of low 500K mark. But yeah, I guess, sorry, we're not really talking about that. But yeah, Sullivan and Frazier, I had to use both their money if I want to get even a low 500K premium.
Who, out of curiosity, who did you bring in?
I'm actually looking at Noah Anderson myself. I want that high variation player. And that's what he is. He has a good fixture, high variation. If he can just hit his straps more games than not for the run home, hopefully he can be that 110, 115 guy and maybe give me a bit of an edge as a big pod as well.
Yep, no, wonderful. Joshy, anything to add on Sullivan?
Not so much Sullivan just yet, but on Anderson, I do like how big his ceiling is. But the only worry is if you look at his home games, which are the wins, compared to losses or away, the scores are coincide with that. Like he's very good in wins, very good at home, but like his away scores are the ones that he's like starting to drop. And the Suns haven't won away from home yet this year, which is a massive concern, I think, considering that they've only got 4 more games at home for the rest of the year. So that's the only thing I'd caution on Anderson. But I do really like his massive ceiling. But yeah, some of these away scores like 98 at Mars Stadium, 89 Adelaide Hills, SCG 50, Gabba 92, Marvel 55, and then Marvel 105. So that's the only issue I'd have with Anderson. But in terms of Sullivan, it's just like Fraser, you need that money, and all the other rookies, get rid of them because this is upgrade season, and any means possible, you get there by doing it.
Now, I know randomly jumping back to Anderson here. I know that we talked about only 4 games left at home, which sucks, but the 3 of those away games, one of them's against North, one of them's against West Coast, one of them's against Richmond.
Yeah, it's sexy run.
I would think they should be winning those even if they're away. And look, the Sydney game in SCG, he's an outside player. It's a small ground. It's not his preferred. And it was a very wet game when they played that game too. I'm pretty sure Rao feasted in that game pretty well. But yeah, as I said, I want to take a bit of a risk on a high volatility player and hope that out of these next 10 games, maybe he has 6 or 7 high games. And then even if he goes 80 for the other 3, 4, hopefully it evens out. And as I mentioned, maybe a 110, 115 average.
Yeah.
Who are the other options around that price? Like that you've considered?
Yes.
Rao, do you have Rao?
I don't have Rao.
He's 6K cheaper, probably similar volatility.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking a little bit more at, I guess, the pod of Anderson. I do also, as you mentioned, I do like Anderson's ceiling as well. I feel like a lot of people got on Rao because he was doing so well early, and he's also just, I don't know, he just hasn't been good for weeks. Like his 3-round 95, his 5-round 99. Anderson's, 3-round 103, 5-round 105. They're not too much better, but he's 4% owned. And I feel like he has a higher ceiling, so I want to take that punt. Other players around that price. I mean, look, Libba's back, and I love Libba, but he's done a lot of damage to me.
You can't go there.
Yeah, and then we also have Rory Laird, who kind of went back to defense this week, kind of looked really good behind the ball. Actually, a bit of a tempting one, but I would like to see more of a sample size than the one game. Yes. Obviously, he's on the bye this week too, so don't get him this week. Then one game sample size. He's 2-3 weeks away at minimum, and I want to play him now to finish my team. And then I guess the final thing I was really considering. Sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say, like, you've got to be cognizant of, like, I know, Joshy, you explained, like, these away games, but, like, Verns is shopping in the discounted aisle. Like, this man is not having T-bone steak for dinner. Like, we are talking shitty microwave 2-minute noodles here. So, I just, like, it's the best of a shit bunch.
Yeah. I guess the only other thing I was kind of considering is the defenders have been pretty good this year, so I was almost considering, do I just swing Nick Martin into like the forward line and get like a 7th defender sort of thing? I mean, Sinclair's been on a tear. He's been really good, but also on the bye, so a little bit awkward there. Nas, once again, someone that plays really good at Marvel, and they have a lot of Marvel games. So there's a few things to consider there, but I think I kind of eyed Anderson off a few weeks back of really wanting him. I even said in my video I want to finish the team with Anderson in it, and then like the following week he drops like a 150 on Essendon, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I want him.
What price is Anderson?
He's 547K.
Get Elliot Yo and thank me later.
No, I can't do it. I can't.
He's hugely on my radar this week. Just
bro,
balls to the wall. Fuck it. My theory is he's had the bye. His hammy is either just going to go twang in the first 5 minutes or he's going to be right. So he'll be fine.
Oh, I feel like with the way my season's gone, I'm going to bring him in and he's going to run into McGovern and they're both going to go down.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Fair enough. We're going to move on to questions now because we've been yapping way too much. And the Sir 420, this is not a question. Yeah, Verns is great. He looks like a budget, whatever that is, Ishigo from Etsy. Verns, explain that to me in normal human terms.
It's Ichigo, and he's just the main character of Bleach. He's just got orange hair and beautiful.
Wonderful. That is a waste of 3 seconds of my life.
Yes.
Carl Meany. G'day, fellas. What are your thoughts on going as far as an F7 and M9 Rosie? Gets me to full 18 this week, but feels very wasteful on the run home with M9, F7 not contributing most weeks. I have no idea why people are keen on Connor Rosie. Genuinely no clue. Like this,
The price, bro.
Biggest.
It's going to be so cheap.
Yeah, he's 300k overpriced, mate. He is the biggest fucking P heart in the AFL. Dead set. This man is so soft. So soft.
So you're not grabbing a Connor Rosie at M9 at 390k, which he could possibly be next week. 390k, you're not touching Connor Rosie when you start with him at 600 something.
Exactly. This is a bloke that literally he just spits out 70s. Yes, he had a good run to the start of the year and then had that issue with the Port Doctors and then he was banished to the Shadow Realm and then he came back and now he's shit. Nothing has changed. We have not seen anything to show us that he is going to change.
Look, I hear you that those scores all year have been trash, but he's M9. He's not on the field. It doesn't matter if he has a shit score. What matters is you have the emergency on him. He finally pops a 150 and boom, you loop him on field and you're good to go. It doesn't matter that he's shit. What matters is he's cheap as chips. You could go from a Frazier to a Rosie for like 100k and you'll probably got a guy that's going to at minimum score as much as Frazier, but have the upside of an Uber premium.
The only way you're bringing in Rosie this week is if you are completely, and when I say completely, I'm not talking about these absolute complete frauds like Tom Stewart, Clary, and Tom Green. Like, does that man even know how to hit a target? If you have them in your team, there is no way you can afford to bring in the softest player in the AFL in Connor Rosie. No way. Nah. I could not care if he's 190k. No fucking way. You need to be absolutely full premium. And full premium, it's when you've got an MA that is averaging like 105. Not like literally, as I said, Tom Green or a Clary who are scared of the ball and have no clue how to handball it, nor kick the ball to someone in the same jumper as them. Nah. But Curnow, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm getting on the Curnow train this week. And I'm going to feel so torn on the inside, just supporting Walsh and Curnow, but also hoping that Carlton shit the bed. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, no, I love the Curnow pick. Curnow Mackay, amazing fixture. They're both going to be like, there's going to be a few games there where they could kick a few they could kick a bag, drop 180, be even a cheeky BC option. And if he's an F7, that's insane. Like your forward line must actually be set up so nicely if he's an F7. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about how next week after the buys, I'm going to be having Fraser at F6, and this guy's talking about having Curnow at F7 and Rosie at M9, which hurts a little bit. But I think, like, I'm completely opposite side to you, Skivs. I think if you've got a full 8 midfielders and you can afford to get Connor Rosie at 390k next week as an M9, I think you'd be crazy to turn it down at that price.
But who is your
on
M8?
The bench.
Who is your M8?
I mean, it depends. Like, I mean, I think this guy must be pretty set up if he's talking about Curnow F7 and Rosie M9. But if it's like a Tom Green or a Steele or something like that, then I'd prioritize trading them up before getting an M9. But if your M8 is solid, I got no problem with Rosie at M9. Like Vern said, you just chuck in the E on him, and if he pops, then that's the best cover I could possibly think of.
other than a rookie.
Mate, that is literally what I just said, except I just said it with a bit more colour and more expletives towards Connor Rozee. Yes. No, if you're M8, like, I don't know, if you're M8, I don't know names, but is averaging, say, 105 and above, and you're full premium, like not Tom Stewart at like D6 because he's not a premium, and Fraser at F6, then absolutely go for it. But you've just got to be so certain that you are, like, premium gets thrown around way too much. Like, it's so easy to slap that on someone, and it's always up to the, I guess, eye of the beholder. But yeah, you have to be fully premium. But Curnow could easily be an absolute gem, which assistance from the umpires I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I've been on the Curnow train for a couple weeks now. I like it. He's only scored 80 and 81 for me, but his good run is yet to come. I got him in for the run that's coming, not so much the last 2 weeks that he scored already for me.
Wonderful. I have a big one. What's going on with the hoodies? Looks like a carrot growing in a field between two mushrooms. Yeah, apologies, mate. Just for you, we'll take that off. I do apologise. Liam Creed, good to see you here, mate. Thank you so much for joining. Walsh or Yo for M8? Walsh, easily. Yo belongs in the back line.
Yeah, I agree
there as well.
Wonderful. We then have Big Baller Brand. Jeez, I nearly messed that up real bad. What do we think of Jezza Cameron boys as F6? Also another one for next week. Laird as M8. Interesting half-back role on the weekend. You've got to wait on Laird to see if he continues that role. And Jezza I cannot believe I'm saying it. Just get Curnow. If funds don't permit, then yeah, because Cameron he's towed up Carlton in his last 3. So that's understandable. Verns, what's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, look, I love Jezza Cameron. He's someone I was hot on early in the season to be like someone I wanted to get later. He has a good run to finish the year. But the funny thing is, if you look at Jezza's run and you look at Curnow's run, they're almost identical. Like their final game, I think it's Geelong play St Kilda then West Coast, where Carlton play West Coast then St Kilda. Like they both have great runs to finish the year. They're both key forwards that can go big. Cameron's more injury prone though, and I think Curnow definitely has a higher floor. So I'd feel more comfortable with him at an F6 role, but Cameron's definitely going to be a bigger pod. So if you want to swing for the fences, then I have no problem with it.
Joshy, anything more to add on that one, mate?
Yeah, well, I think another thing with Cameron, like Vern said, he is injury prone, but he's also extremely volatile compared to Curnow. Like Curnow, his ceiling isn't as high as Cameron, but if you look at his scores across the year, I think there was only one really bad score against Collingwood or something, but the others have been pretty solid, like low floor of like 70s to 80s, and then the rest like around the 90 to 100 mark. So he's a lot better than Cameron, who like some of his scores here are 57, 61, 59, 50, 76, 60. Like he is very, very volatile. But I mean, back-to-back 90s for Cameron and then pretty soft run home. But if I was to rank the 3 key forwards that people are kind of looking at with the soft run home, I'd probably go Curnow, Mackay, and then Cameron. So he's a bit down the pecking order for me.
Yeah, I think the other thing there as well is when we're taking into account key forwards, wins are even more important. You know, if your team's winning, usually the key forwards are getting on the end of that. So I think Carlton, once again, soft run, they're probably not going to lose many at all, where Geelong have been pretty speculative this year. I couldn't tell you when they're just going to throw in a stinker and suck.
Yeah.
Well, ideally, you'd want to be able to potentially loop them, I'd say.
Yeah.
F6, F7. But we'll move on. Oh, very good. The Sir, can someone tell me who is sponsoring today's podcast and where can we find them? We are sponsored by Honeywell. You know where to find them. Thank you so much for the Sir 420 for just introducing that beautiful segue. Find them on Twitter, live updates, literally game-by-game plays, group chats, updates from doctors, journos, live coach presses. You know where to find them. Again, the Surf 420. Sorry, I munted the last question. Nate told me to consider Charlie Curnow in this week as an F5, F6 when I bring more in. Is this a good option, or was he pulling the wrong leg with this suggestion? Well, I've given my suggestion. Verns, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we sort of just went over that. We're all very happy with Kerno.
Joshy, have you
Yeah, I
changed your
agree.
mind in the last 7 seconds? Yep, wonderful.
No.
Love it like that. Thank you. Blues fan. If I see TDK named solo while Pitto is available, I'm tempted to jump on. All Blues fans want Tom DeConnick solo, but Voss seems to love Pitto, tends to always play when fit. Thoughts on TDK as a pod? No, because like, what are you going to trade out Grundy, or are you going to trade out Gawn? Are you really going to trade out English? Like, this man is a sole ruck in Supercoach. As good as he has been on the field and Supercoach wise, I don't think you're giving up one of your ruck spots for Tom DeConing. Verns, any thoughts on that, mate?
The only way you're considering this is if you're right now got Gawn and Jackson and you need like one ruck to finish your 22. That's the only reason you're considering this. You're looking for a super pod play. He's on a heater, looks cool. You're probably a lot safer with Grundy. Let's be honest. I'd probably feel a lot safer with English. But I guess if you want to take a pod, and this comes down to the situation, like where are you sitting overall? Where are you sitting in league matchups? Like what's important to you? And if you want to take a punt on someone that maybe very highly unlikely could gain you a few ranks towards the end of the season, then I don't mind it. Not jumping for joy, but I don't mind it.
So is that a no?
I'll give it a I don't mind. Like if you want to, go for it.
Joshy, your thoughts, mate?
Oh, I think I'd be a flat no. Like if he was if he was 300s, 400s, then maybe, but he's 515k now. You know, I'd take looking at the rucks now, I'd take Gawn over him, I'd take Grundy, take English, take Sherry, I'd take Marshall even over him, and also someone who's having a very underrated year. Nate Curvis is averaging 110 at the moment, and he's the fourth highest averaging ruck. I'd even take him over to Conning at the moment. The only thing I will say about DeConning is I fucking wish he had forward DPP, because earlier in the year when he was playing with Pitternet, I thought for sure he'd have forward DPP, and yeah, he would have been a perfect F5, F6 along with your Rankins, Heaney, Zorko, Flanders, those type of guys.
Okay, well, I know you're hating on the pick, guys, but hypothetically, if he did have forward DPP, would you be picking him up this week instead of Kerno?
Oh, absolutely, I would. Yes, if he had 4 DPP, he's in.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I feel like it's not that laughable. I feel like you boys are really laughing at the idea of picking him up, but when we say it like that, it's not that bad.
Yeah, true. It's just like, I don't know. I don't think you could pick him in the ruck.
If my auntie had balls, she'd be my Uncle Verns. Come on.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, you compare the guys that you're picking him over in the ruck line, and then if he was in the forward line, he's probably a top 4, top 5 forward. So I don't know. It's a bit different, given you've got 6 slots in the forward line.
So is it just the uncertainty about it that you don't like? Like, obviously, he's had 3 weeks where he's going bananas. I think his 3-round average is like 140. Like, he's going mental at the moment. Is it just the uncertainty that you're thinking Pitner comes back and he just falls off a cliff? Or is that you think it's unsustainable even as a solo ruck to keep up this, obviously it's unsustainable, but to even be.
Yeah. I don't think it's either of those things. I think it's just the competition he has in that ruck line. Like, I think if I was to go into a head-to-head Cash League matchup and I had DeConning against, say, Gawn, Grundy, English, I'd think, well, there's some points I've lost this week already in that matchup. I think it's not so much the uncertainty around the pick; it's just who he's coming up against that really concerns me.
So you think if he stayed solo ruck the entire year, he's going to go 105 where they go 115 at minimum? Is that
something like that?
Okay.
I reckon that's what could happen.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I love you too, Juicy Dribble.
Broken by a comment.
I'm so sorry, but that last comment has done me. Ferns, put it this way: Grundy, Gawn, English, DeConning, rank them 1 to 4. Go.
Oh, look, you're putting DeConning at 4. You know you are, but
exactly. End of discussion. Let's move on. Fuck me. Let's not spend so much time on something like that. Jesus Christ. All right, Joshy said Grundy can't do anything away from Sydney, but he just went 150 odd at Adelaide. Zorko will be fine. Verns, do you agree?
Yeah, no, Grundy's gonna be awesome.
Perfect. Will he average more than DeConnick?
Yes, he will.
Thank you, Joshy.
Yeah, he's back to his old self. If I could reverse one trade I've done all this season, and I'm going to preface this by saying that I traded Hayden Young to Tom Stewart, which has been fucking horrendous, horrible. That gives me
Yeah.
nightmares every night. But if I was to reverse one trade, it wouldn't even be that. It would be saving my boost that I used on Grundy to English. I still can't believe I did it. The fact that English can drop a 136, and I was like, yeah, that's a good score, and then Grundy comes out and scores 154. It's heartbreaking, and I can't take it anymore.
I'm fairly sure Verns and I sat here and told you not to do that too. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
English has
absolutely.
turned into a donkey since I got him, to be honest.
Would you guys consider trading out English for Grundy, or that's just a waste?
That's a no. That's no.
No.
I
I
was
agree.
actually
I think it's
thinking
a waste.
of,
I'm just asking.
Yeah. I was thinking of trying English
Fuck,
out to
Verns,
Tom
you're on thin
DeConning,
ice
actually.
tonight.
Oh, look, just for a cheeky shout out, your main man George from traded English to Grundy last week.
Did he start
no.
with English?
No, he started with Grundy, so he's gone Grundy,
The Grundy, English, Grundy, yeah.
then back to
I
Grundy.
can't bring myself to do
Oh.
that. I've already traded Fisher out and gone back in. I can't do it with someone else.
Oh, to be fair, I have no idea what I've done wrong to George, but he's blocked me. So for all I care, he can get fucked, and I hope he uses another trade. Is Scoop still the proud owner of an inherited liquor license? If anyone does not know the backstory to this, DM me and I will fill you in, because we can confirm that a certain media personality, we can't say for legal reasons,
We
is
know
a
who.
huge fan of this podcast and listens regularly, and may or may not be in the chat currently. But we're going to move on. All right. Is Nick Martin a risk of becoming redundant if Brad Scott moves him forward? I'm going to say no, because he just seems like a live wire up there. And I know he can't kick snags. His accuracy is disgusting, but somehow he just bobs up here and there. Verns, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's sometimes like he's struggling in the defensive line. He gets put forward, and all of a sudden, like doubles his scoring. You're like, what just happened?
Absolutely. Joshy, you're the Essendon man.
Yeah, as an Essendon man all year, or not all year, but the last 10 or so weeks, I've just wanted him up the ground because it's so much better for us. Like, him playing half back is forcing guys like Jake Kelly to play on the wing or high half forward.
I
even
know
like the
how
last
much
couple
you love
weeks-
Jake Kelly up the ground.
Oh, mate, we recruited him as a small defender, and when he's played that role, he's been pretty good. Like, he's actually done some good jobs and some good small forwards. But he is hopeless as a forward or a wingman, and the whole reason he is playing that position is because we've put Nick Martin at half back. So now that he's going back to the wing, where people forget he was nearly an All-Australian last year as a wingman, he was just behind Dacos and Gordon. And as a high half forward wingman, he is so much more beneficial to Essendon. And I honestly think that he can still get his 20 to 25 disposals a game, kick some snags, and score well still. So I think it's good for Essendon and good for Supercoach.
The amount of times this bloke just dribbles the ball along the ground when he's got an easy 20-meter pass is ridiculous.
That's the thing, though. Like, last year, his kicking was actually elite. I don't know if it's now that he's half back and he's got that kicking license. I don't know if it's he tries to pull off harder kicks now because he's got that license and he just stuffs them up. But I don't know what's happened. But last year he was actually a good kick of the footy. But this year, yeah, he's Nick Martin the butcher.
Verns, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think Joshy summed it really nicely.
Perfect. Let's move on. Ivor Biggin, thoughts on trading Steele sideways to a Merit? If you're full premium without like a Tommy Green, a Stewart, and you've got trades in the bank, yes, absolutely, I'd do that. Verns, your thoughts, even though you love the run home?
I do love Steele. I would just almost wonder if you got someone else. Like, do you have maybe a Green, as we sort of mentioned? Do you have a Dawson? Do you have someone else that you could do that with instead of Steele? That would make me feel more comfortable. But if this was your worst thing in your team, Yeah, I'm for it.
Yep. Joshy, anything
Yeah, I
else to add
think
on that one?
I'm just gonna shadow what you guys said. Like, if you can afford to do those type of luxury trades, absolutely. Like, Merritt is one of the best midfielders in the game, and you know, I'd absolutely do that in a heartbeat if you can afford to do a luxury trade.
Yeah, like I mean,
Perfect.
honestly, if for some reason you're sitting there with only 20 premiums at this point and you're making this kind of move, like stop. Stop,
Yeah.
finish your upgrades,
Yeah.
and then worry about this shit later.
Kind of goes back to the Rosie discussion, doesn't it? We will continue on and we'll save that for another day. Either begin Cully or Menzie. Joshy, you can answer this question because I think you're bringing one of these in this week, aren't you?
Yeah, well, early week I was thinking about getting one of them in, but I think now, given how desperately I need to fill that F6 with a Primo, I think I'm now going to go either Laurie if he's in at 111k, or I'm just going to go Geordie Payne at 102k. And the reason I'll do that is because he may not play. I think he does play at some point, but that mid forward swing I think is going to be really crucial. Like, you can put that in the midfield, and that will swing with Fraser. That's going to swing with Dowling. It's going to swing with all those premiums in the midfield as well. And I'm also doing the same thing in the midfield. I'm downgrading Sullivan to Sardar Hooley. Obviously, he's not going to play for the rest of the year. He's injured, but that mid defense swing, the same thing. If you need to cover a mid primo and you've got a cover down back, you can swing like a Dacos into the midfield or something like that. So I think at the moment it's Laurie or that 102k Geordie Payne, just with that mid forward swing to just get that flexibility and also that cash in. But if I was to pick one, I think looking at Essendon's side during the week, I think Menzie actually could come out because we got Draper, Dersma, Hobbs, Setterfield's fit, and there's one more coming in. I can't. His name escapes me at the moment, but we got a lot of players coming in. I think he could be the one to come out. So off that basis, Cully, but even then, I'm not even that confident. Like, he's got the mid 4 DPP, but I mean, he had 39% CBA his last game, but that's without Harley Reid and Tim Kelly, whose returns are imminent. So both of them just really dodgy job security, and at 190k and 200k, I don't know. As the days go on, I'm going further and further away from both of them.
I think this week
So-
coming, Cully scores more than Menzie, but I don't know how long for, and I don't think they're
Yeah,
fantastic
it's just-
options.
It's just the fact that I think Callie and Reid are both guaranteed next week. Like, Callie was close this week, and Reid's got one more week suspension. So there's just question marks on both of them. And I think now I'm just against both of them, even though I was really red hot on them earlier in the week.
Ferns, your thoughts, mate? Any differing
No,
opinions?
I'm happy with everything that we heard there.
Wonderful, I love that. Ivor Big and Watts Warner's JD, I think that's meant to be job security looking like, boys. Well, if Chapman was just precautionary and he comes straight back in, surely Warner's out. Is that not a fair statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Brendan Cox's return is imminent as well, so that could even affect him as well.
He's playing for Peel this week, I think I read.
Yeah.
Thomas, oh Jesus, this Thomas Jack. Are we praying Tom Green comes good, or is he one we move on soon if we can? If you can, get rid of him. Like, I know he's not worth a bag of shit right now, but literally get rid of him if you can. If your team is complete. Ferns, anything more to add on that, mate?
No, I do agree. It is hard because he's only 450k now. Like, you have to actually put some money into him to get anyone relatively good. And if that's stopping your upgrades, that's pretty annoying.
Joshy, anything more?
Yeah, well, we were talking before about the trades that I would reverse if I could. Stewart was one, Grundy to English was one, but Tom Green, he can absolutely get fucked. Because I was looking, I traded him in at 579k. He was coming off 159 score, and he was averaging 120. So I thought at 579k, that was a bargain. Since then, his first game I owned him, he scored a fucking 5 when he came off injured in the first quarter and backed up the next week. So he was clearly a pussy and wasn't that injured anyway. And then he's now, since I've got him in, obviously 5 the first game, and he's averaged 75.5 in the 6 games I've had him. He's dropped a shit ton of cash. I thought 579K was going to be the lowest he would get. Oh, he can get fucked. And listen to him on his podcast as well. He thinks he's the top player in the league. Like he said, he has aspirations to be the best player in the league. He openly talks about that, talks about how he's got himself in his fantasy side. He fucking must be doing shit in the ranks because he is the softest footballer at the moment. Like everyone thinks he's this little contested beast and, Clary 2.0. I mean, he's as shit as Clary at the moment. Both of them are overweight. They look shit and both of them can get stuffed. And I don't think
we are
anyone can
100% getting demonetized for tonight. We've been going an hour and we've still got 18 questions to go. So we need to get through them. Hurry up.
Well, I'll just finish off by saying, to answer the question, are we praying Tom Green comes good? You could be the most religious person in the world. I don't think Tom Grant's going to come good. He's absolutely cooked, and he's in my burn book. He can get fucked.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Thanks, mate. That was beautiful. You just cost us an absolute arm and a leg in gold bars. Who do you anticipate will end up being the top 6 to 8 forwards by the end of the year? Literally, I don't think we need to do 6 to 8. We just need to do like the top. Because we know Heaney's going to be up there. Flanders, Zorko, Jackson, probably Rankin. And then you're going to have
Fisher.
one of more. Oh, yes, obviously Fisher. And then maybe Curnow. I think if Curnow pops, he could easily move into 5th, like in the back end of the year. So that's just my thoughts. Verns?
Yeah, I think those 6 that we named that we can probably all agree on. The ones I'd be a little bit more iffy with would be maybe Jackson and Moore. They could be probably overtaken by other people in the pool. I'd love to see Reed come good and steal a spot, but then that's pretty good shout, I think, overall. So,
Joshy, your thoughts?
I think you're laughing at what I saw. Someone commented on X. That's actually our first ever comment from X, but Jamie reckons Green would knock me out, and he's probably 100% correct. But I think I just have that much anger in me that I would stand a chance. But I guess the height difference and the weight difference would just absolutely crush me. But in terms of 8 forwards, what's that?
I was gonna say, like, you Rangers need to stick together, man. You're a dying race.
I know.
So, yeah.
I know. Maybe once he sees my Mo colour, he's gonna. Well, once it grows back, it's slowly growing back. Once he sees my Mo colour, he might go a bit easy on me. But I think he would definitely take me to town. But that's the good thing about social media. You can say whatever you want over the computer, over the phone, and nothing's ever going to come back to you. Because I don't think I'll be seeing Tom Green there.
And just for legal purposes, we know that is not true. So please do not go out there and abuse whoever you want. All right, Joshy, top 6 to 8 forwards.
Yeah, well, the locks are Heaney, Flanders, Zorko. I think like Fisher scored 70 on the weekend, but I think from here on out, he's shown that his role's good enough to be in there as well. Rankin's a lock as well, and then you can toss a coin between Jackson, Curnow, Moore, all these guys. But at the moment, I think I'd probably lean towards Moore and Curnow just.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much for spitting that out, mate. Liam Creed, hold Fraser or Fife can get a better M8 option for the year. No, you hold Fraser, ditch Fife. Verns, your thoughts?
That seems fine to me.
Joshy?
Yeah, I'd hold Fraser as well. I think Fife's a bit cooked.
Perfect. Arthur Mongrel, has anybody heard if Mick Cochrane is still on? If anyone wants to know about this, DM me. We're not going on about this right now. We do not have the time. Jesus Christ. Sammy Taylor, sorry, mate. You've just had to hear Joshy rip into one of your star midfielders, mate. If you've got any league team news, again, you know where to find me. Hey, lads, thinking about 4 trades this week. Pink to Ridley, Green to Rosé, Harrison to Showmaker, Sullivan to any rookie, 90k in the bank, 6 trades left, and 1 more upgrade. Crazy, but sets me up well. You know my feelings on the Rose situation. If he's going to be M9, then yeah, I reckon go for it. Purely because you got that 90k in the bank and 6 trades left. Ferns, your thoughts, mate?
I'm really iffy about Green to Rosie. I don't know if I like that. Like, that just seems like a waste of a trade to a degree. You're putting 40k in the bank, and is it really an upgrade or even a downgrade? Like, it's much of a muchness. It's a waste of a sideways, honestly. I would cut that part out of the equation, and I'm happy with the other 3.
Very well-rounded response. Joshy.
Yeah, well, I think Sam Taylor might be one of the only people left that actually has a boost. Because when I read 4 trades, I was like 4
Yeah.
trades, but now I remembered boosts are a thing. But I used all mine in like round 6, round 7. But yeah, I'd agree. Like, get Ridley in, he's awesome. But if you're trading Tom Green, I think the only way is up, not to a Rosie, not to another skeptical premium. And yeah, Sean Maker looks one of the best rookies that you can bring in at the moment. So other than that, I agree with everything.
Perfect. Thomas Jack, no issues with running a forward in the mids and picking up a Kerno, Verns. What's your response to that, mate?
Oh, no, I would definitely not be doing that. I'm fine with the defender in the mids because they're actually performing at a level that it's close enough to some of these questionable M8s to M6s. But the forwards they're not even relatively close. Like, getting a forward in your mid, that's a 90. Like, that's awful. Like, there's no way I'm doing that.
What if it's like a Zorko or a Flanders?
But if you're getting a Zorko, he's not going to be your F6. That's the thing. Like, I don't like that at all. Like, if you're getting Zorko, great, but I would be probably moving him in and then upgrading whoever your F7 is at that point to an actual M8.
Well, you just shot that comment right down. So, Thomas Jack, if you want to hurl some abuse at Verns, you know where to find him. Global, good to see you here, mate. You're always here. 21-22 for myself this week and have made some progress through the buys with 20 playing this week with 3 rookies on field. Great job, mate. You just keep going, keep pushing, and you will get there. Ivor Biggin, I'm fed up with Tom Stewart. Can he get back to something close to his best? Or is he going to continue to run around? Oh my God, we cannot keep repeating that. No, Tom Stewart's not a premium. No, he's absolutely not. No, and his Cats have got a good run home, but he's not a premium. No, he cannot. Verns, can he get back to his best?
I don't see it. No.
Perfect. Joshy, I know you love Tom Stewart, mate.
Well, I don't think we have time for another Tom Green type rant, but
No, we
I
don't.
definitely have one in me if we do. But nah, it's both the Toms. They're both shit cunts, aren't they? But I think I traded Tom Stewart out on his buy last week to Jordan Clark. Clark only got 85. I think for the rest of the season, he's going to be a lot better than Stewart. And I think the concerning thing about Stewart is if you look at his raw numbers, they're actually not that much different to the previous seasons. So I don't actually know why his scoring is so low, and I think that's what's actually concerning me more than anything. And I mean, he just look at his scoring; he's not going to get back anywhere close to his best. And he's over 30 now. This is when players start to drop off. Just look at McRae, look at Laird. I know he had a big score on the weekend, but still only scoring 106. These guys start to drop off at the back end of their careers.
Yeah, it's like Joshy's fighting everyone at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to set this up. Josh is taking on Green, then Stewart, then Fisher. Apparently, he's just going to towel them all up.
They would eat him for breakfast. Ferns, if you were looking for a mid-pod, I don't mind the Crips pick, maybe bias. Scored pretty well and fixture opens up post-buy. Think he has another gear to find, plus will avoid tags, unlike Anderson. And just to add another something onto it, he also has the umpires on his side that we all know about. Verns, is Crips in your sights at all?
He's not, honestly. Like, look, he's playing Geelong this week, and you probably make a lot of good points considering, I looked at Walsh, but it's just one of those things that he's one of those players like Trelaw. Like, you see them there, but you don't even consider them. Like, you just glance over them, like they're not actually there in the Supercoach game. Like, they're just not even considerations. So yeah, I'm just not going to pick him.
Joshy, do you have any input on this? I know it was directed to Verns, but
I mean, just add Cripps to the list of people I'm going to fight because it's just like you last year. Just like you last year, Scoobs. We picked him up at that price point where he was like averaging 117 or something, and we didn't get another ton for about 8 weeks. So, yeah,
mate,
it's just he's on the never again list.
I did, and Blues fan last year, I picked him up for, I think it was like 594k, had a break even of 54, and I was wrapped with it because I thought he was going to be easily M1. Thought he'd never be under 600k again, and my God, he was shit. Like, just disgusting.
Yeah,
disgusting. If you want to know the full story, you know where to find me, mate. Scobes, as a member of the Twitter Supercoach chat, how absolutely disgusted are you by Tom Green's performances? He's an absolute meat distributor. Yes, he is, and I won't repeat what Joshy said, but that literally is my opinion on him as well. I am so sick of that fella. My God, he's just terrible. Global, would love to hear your thoughts on this. Looking at value pick, possibly Jezza / Charlie in the forward line and have Sexton F7 D7 as a loop, or possibly Sard / Vlosten in the backline D7 loop. No, that sounds great. Sard over Vlosten, I would probably go with. That's, yeah, no, I like that, Global. Sounds like you're in a good position. Ferns, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I love the spice. I always love adding an extra pot in, and yeah, looks good.
Joshy?
Yeah, I wouldn't be going Vlosten. Like, his scores have really, really dropped off since the start of the year. Sard, I'd consider it. But I think, and you guys are gonna laugh at me here, but I think if you're going a D7 at that type of price, our Sard Vlosten, I'd actually go Jaden Short. His last couple of weeks have been really good.
Yeah.
I think back-to-back tons. I think like slightly cheaper than Sard, a bit more expensive than Vlosten, but I don't know. He's a proven premium. Like, I think he went 4 or 5 years in a row, 90 to 95 plus averages. I don't think he's ever got to that 100 mark, but just quickly looking him up now, 408k, break even of 19, and his last 2 scores have been 103 and 116, and just before that at 80. So looks to have a decent role at the moment, decent scoring, and I think he would probably be the one that I'd go for as a cheeky D7 loop.
Yeah, I love that shout.
Yeah.
Wonderful. No, Verns likes colourful picks. It's right up his alley. Michael Higginson, Jackson, Curnow, or Mackay at F7. If you're running Jackson at F7, I'd love to know who your other forwards are, honestly. But out of Curnow or Mackay, it's Curnow for me. Verns, Curnow or Mackay at F7?
Look, I mean, Jackson comes down to, I guess, how much you value the ruck protection, and if you have Kruger. If you have Kruger and you think that maybe he can hold down the fort if something goes wrong, cool. But I would prefer, Curnow and then Mackay before Jackson if it's just for the forward role.
Joshy?
Well, again, I'm looking at running Fraser F6 next week after the buys, and just where are these people getting the cash from to get Curnow, Jackson, or Mackay at F7? I don't understand it. I don't know if one of their other lines isn't complete yet, and they're just prioritizing getting bench cover on the forward line. But if I was to pick one of them, probably Curnow, and then Jackson the second option. But I'm just not convinced still with Darcy on that side.
You know what? I reckon we're counting down to chase them. I reckon you're going to be stuck with Fraser at F6 for a bit. I might be 20k, but I'm going to be coming for you.
I can guarantee you that Joshy outranks you for the rest of the year.
I think if I do go down that route that I'm probably going at the moment, where I'm getting Laurie or Payne in this week, just purely for that swing. I will be able to afford a Dylan Moore or a Jackson at F6 next week, but I think given the people I have left after trading out Fraser, I'll be waiting a couple more weeks if I do want that ranking because I'll be short. So I could have an F6 in Jackson, but I don't know. I think I'd rather wait for the quality in Rankin. But yeah, it's going to be tough times.
You said before, Joshy, you're not sure where these people are getting the cash from. They probably didn't lose 200k on Tom Green nor Tom Stewart either. Yeah. I have a big in.
Yeah.
I hate Carlton, but not minding the look of Elijah Hollins as a smoky pod. He had 19 touches, 7 marks, and kicked 3 sausages in, a pretty normal win over the Bombers. Joshy, I'm sure you watched that game with a high level of intensity. Is Elijah Hollins a decent pod?
Well, he's got the forward mid swing, which is always handy, and I think he's mid 300s as well. So the price tag and the DPP are both ticks. But the only thing I'll caution is I think his scoring has come about from, without the numbers in front of me, come about from a few CBAs. And I think reading Carlton's injury report today, Adam Chera is back this week. So whether that affects the amount of CBAs Hollins has, it probably does. How much does it take off him? How much does that affect the scoring? I'm not sure, but I think just those reasons alone already question marks around a Hollins smoky pod pick. I think I'd maybe hold off with Chera coming back this week. I think it's too much risk.
Ferns, short and sharp. Do you like Hollins as a pod?
If he's an F7, M9, I don't mind it. Great fixture, but wouldn't be playing him on field.
Lovely. Liam Creed, trade Fife for Errol or LDU and have Fraser as M9 F7 cover, or keep Fife and trade Fraser for Walsh and have Fife as cover. First option easily. First option in a heartbeat. Ferns, your thoughts?
Yep, agree.
Perfect. Joshy?
Yeah, I'd absolutely do that.
Wonderful. Michael Higginson, thoughts on fielding only 17 this week due to playing for leagues and waiting on players to drop, example Sarong, or should I use/waste a trade to field? How many trades you've got left, mate? If you've got, say, if 8 before doing anything, then surely you can work something out. Like Hutchinson's a 102k player that probably should play. But if you're playing for leagues and don't really care about overall, then I see no issue in literally just having 17, especially if you get a good VC that pops. Verns, your thoughts?
100% agree. If you're playing for leagues, 1 week's really irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Get a better team, finish final strong, go hard.
Wonderful. Joshy?
Yeah, playing for leagues 1 week doesn't really matter. But, I mean, this is the same guy that reckons he can get Jackson to F7, so I don't really know what's going on with his trade situation, but I don't know. He seems to be in a pretty good spot. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with tanking 1 week if you're playing for leagues, especially cash leagues.
Yeah, maybe he's just got an absolute huge war chest ready to go. Blues fan, Scopes, hope you're holding up all right after the devastating news about Mick Cockring. Oh, my God. Yeah, that was unfortunate, wasn't it? How that unraveled was just, my goodness. The Sir 420, is Sexton someone we should hold if possible at all costs, or should he be the first to go to bring more in next week to complete my forward line? I have no issue trading him this week if it gets you an out-and-out premium, because I have no doubt in my mind that power will affect his scoring. Absolutely no doubt. Ferns, your thoughts?
I would like to see you hold him for a week, at least this week. They're playing Freo. They're the second. They give up the most points to second most points to defenders behind St. Kilda. So, and we want to see how he goes with Powell. You don't know. They might shuffle the team around, and it might not affect his scoring too much. And you'd hate to trade him out for someone that's going to average very similar to him. So I reckon just be patient for at least 1 week.
I reckon he could get dropped, and they just keep Jeffrey off the halfback flank as well.
Look, if he gets dropped, get him out.
Yep. Joshy, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, that was actually some pretty helpful information from Verns about Freo. That gives me a captaincy option, I think, with Flanders this week. But other than that, I think as someone who hasn't owned Sexton, and I mean, we we're talking before where these people getting all this money from. I think missing Sexton for me was a massive reason why I'm not being able to afford these upgrades maybe as quickly as I would like. But I'm of the opinion that Verns is as well. I think just keep him one more week or keep him until he starts scoring badly. Like, I think all it takes is one bad score and you trade him out. But until then, I think he's completely fine to keep. And we've spoken about this whole podcast, how important DPP is. That defender forward swing with, Zach Fisher, you might still have a Will Dawson that you need to cover in the coming weeks. Then, I don't know. I feel like he's a hold if you can keep him.
Perfect. Let's move on. Joshy, this is directed at you. Green would knock you out.
He probably would,
look,
yeah.
I have nothing against that because I completely agree with that. There was another one as well. Jeez, Josh, you're inciting a lot of violence. Zach Fisher would tell him up as well. I mean, Zach Fisher looks like an
I
emo
never
kid
spoke
straight
shit
out
about
of
Zach Fisher,
2010. He's
I
just
think
like
Zach Fisher. Yeah, keep the fight offers coming my way, but I don't know where this came from.
I mean,
I
Zach
think
Fisher's
it's just
haircut
saying
is-
because he's a skinny ass, because Jack Fisher is a very skinny build, so he'll still beat you down even though he's made of nothing.
No, he
Well,
came off
he-
with cramp the other week. He's a little pussy. I'd beat him.
I mean, if he wasn't a football player, he just screams like 2010, bring me the horizon, like I'm down at the skate park type operator. And Thomas Jack just wants to thank you for your rant on Tom Green. Once again, we were definitely not serious about that.
Yeah, not at all.
Scobes, was Mick Cockering your alt account on X? Believe it or not, no. And whoever it was, pure artistic genius. Absolutely loved every moment of it. Gerudo, Jeremy Cameron and Harley Reid, F5 and F6.
Oh,
I don't like Reid, F5. F6, sorry. Yep. No. Verns, your thoughts? I know you're a big fan of Harley Reid.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm going to be keeping Reed as a primo, and as I said, Cameron's good if you want to play for a pod.
Joshy?
well, Reid's a good F7 / primo if he's playing at Optus Stadium, but anywhere else, I'm not too sure about it. But Cameron's run looks pretty good, so you could probably go sneak him in an F5 or a 6, but I think that's just way too shallow for a forward line.
Wonderful. Thomas Jack says, I'm bringing Jackson in this week, going to hope Joe Richards comes back and plays a handy F7 role, given Elliott is a while away. It also makes him full premium with 6 trades left, 140k in the bank for Green out next week. Yeah, 100%. I would do that. Absolutely. Are you boys against bringing Jackson in this week, having Richards at F7 and obviously being full primo and
That's
being
awesome.
able to upgrade Joshy's best mate?
Yeah, great setup.
Yeah, I think
Perfect.
that's
Joshy,
perfect.
I think you're for that. My goodness, our last comment. This has gone on forever. Verns, this is for you. Verns, you've gone Ranger for Haiku. So what's next
What the
on
fuck?
your Weeaboo bucket list? Grey for Gojo. Verns, please translate.
Look, I'm not really going to be changing the hair. I'm just going to let the orange fade out. It will turn into nice, I guess, bleach blonde. And then I'll eventually cut it and it'll look like tips. Easy.
Perfect. Wonderful. So it was a haircut color question.
It's just about changing the color of the hair. That's all.
Right. Thank you for that vital translation. All right. VCs and Cs. Let's wrap this up. Verns, who you going with?
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at Gorn into maybe Flanders or Ryan. Not 100% sure yet. Might come down to a few head-to-heads. But yeah, hopefully I can just bank Gorn's VC.
Wonderful. Joshy, yourself?
Yeah, Gorn Vese as well. He's averaged 138 at the J this year, so hopefully he can score a big score against Sherry. And then the backup, I think Sheed being out just solidified me going with Zach Merritt as my captain. But I mean, Flanders gives me something to think about now that Vern's told me that stat about Freo and what they give up to half backs, considering what Flanders scored against St Kilda a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, at the moment, VC Gorn, C Merit.
Perfect. I think I will be going Gorn into, and if he scores literally anything near 120, I'll just be taking that,
Agreed.
especially in a bye week. But if he magically shits the bed, it's probably going to be Flanders, I think, just purely because of the great memories of VCing him against St Kilda, which was wonderful for 150. Right, this has gone on for far too long. Verns, where can everybody find you?
Yep, so you can find me on X at Verns_SC or on YouTube at just Verns Supercoach.
Perfect. Joshy, where can everybody find you, mate?
Just on X at JG_SC Hub, and Tom Green can see me in the ring.
Yeah. Sorry, Verns
Perfect.
SC
Well,
Hub.
we will organise that. Wonderful. Wonderful. Oh, looking at the numbers, thank you to the 204 people that are still watching at this time of the evening. Thank you so much. You know where to find us. Linktree, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X. Thank you to Honeyball for sponsoring us. You can find me on X at Scobie_SC Hub. And please like, subscribe. And if you need anything answered, drop a DM, tag us. You know where to find us. Have a great evening. Burns, quickly shout out the consensus team before I end the stream.
Yeah, so consensus team in the Discord. Feel free to just join us in our Discord. We'll post that on X. And it's also at the bottom of the YouTube video in the description. It did have a good week this week. Dropped to 2,030, went up to about 20K. So leapfrogged me in the rankings. And yeah, come join the fun.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And that's it for tonight. Everyone, you know where to find us. We'll be doing the same thing next week, same time, same place. And we do not condone violence nor illegal gambling on certain things. And a certain media personality still loves a podcast. And I know they were in here watching it and listening and will probably listen on the audio again. Thank you. Have a great night. And that's us done.